what is neutral spine?
Walk and sit.
Walk and sit. And do you, say that again, sorry?
Natural curves intact.
Exactly, natural curves intact. So we're not changing anything about the spine. We're not asking them to flatten, we're not asking them to arch, we're not asking anything. Neutral spine should be where they land neutrally, and my favorite way to get them there is to lay them on their back in that hook lying and tell them where you land, that's your neutral. Because everybody has a little bit different curve in their spine. And we talked about this when we did the course, but you never want to ask somebody, no two curves are going to look the same. So people are going to have different amounts of space in here. What you're going to look for is that they're not in a huge anterior pelvis, which we'll talk about in a minute, or posterior pelvis, but otherwise they should land with their normal curves. And we never really want to ask them to change those curves. We want to ask them to support their own neutral. So that's what, just to keep in mind, is you're going to support their neutral. If there's a huge dysfunction, their neutral might be wrong. But for you, as you're not going to try and change that. You're just going to support. So the neutral spine does change. Curves are varied. Neutral spine changes when a person goes from standing to supine, but should not cause a complete loss of the curves. Right? And neutral position should never be painful or uncomfortable. Forcing a change is often the cause of injury. And I get people who have been to Pilates and hurt themselves because the teachers told them that they need more arch in their back. That's typically more what I see. But they were telling me I needed to be there, and then that really compresses when they go, even for footwork, it's compressive to be in an arch. Flat back, right, refers to the posterior tilt, whether or not you're doing it intentionally. So when you bring your legs from neutral, so in hook lying, I should probably just lay on the floor. If I'm neutral here, and this is my neutral, even if I want to stay neutral and I bring my legs to tabletop, I'm now a lot flatter than I am right when I had my feet down. So I'm not intentionally flattening, I'm just moving to tabletop. But anytime we bring the legs up, that neutral gets a little flatter naturally, and that's good. It's going to give me more support. Classical Pilates is all flat back. So flat back would be forcing myself into the flat position, right? So sometimes we use it. When have we used it? When have we intentionally used flat back?
Like protect the spine in tabletop.
Right. So if they have trouble holding the weight of their legs, they're going to start going more anterior. Right. So then we can help them by asking for that posterior, or sometimes even putting a wedge or something underneath their bottom to get them there, just so we know they're safer. Mm-hmm. So I don't think that I know of any spinal condition that is going to get worse in flat back. Mm-hmm. So I think for the most part, if you're unsure, you can use flat back to help you make sure that they're safe. So I'll keep thinking about that, but I don't think there's a single one that you're in tabletop and flat back, you're going to hurt somebody. So if that's the case, why do we not want to work them in flat back all the time?
Because then we're not increasing efficiency when we walk, because we walk in neutral.
We walk in neutral. We function in neutral. Exactly. That's exactly right. So strength training is very specific. And if we strengthen in flat back all the time, they may not have the strength we want them to have when they're neutral, which is life. Life is neutral. Pros to flat back, we said, supporting the spine throughout the exercise. It's safer for clients with instabilities. It provides feedback for the client, and it's easier to feel it when the spine lifts off the ground. You could also support them in neutral, or give them that feedback in neutral by putting a little towel or something under the back to give them that feedback. So say you're working with predict the load, where their legs are moving in and out. You could put a little towel, and if every time their legs move away, they arch off and they're not noticing, you could put a towel there, keeping them in neutral, and say, now keep your back on the towel as your legs move away. So it's another way to get that feedback, but still work with them in neutral if they're strong enough for that. Pros to neutral spine is our natural spine position. It's a position you would use in everyday life. Strengthens the body in neutral, and therefore provides more balance to the muscles for everyday activities, right? And stabilizes the spine where the curves have the greatest shock absorption potential. And then here's a little bit of just remind.